Hey everyone, I am Mike of Mike and Tess Play, and welcome to a new kind of video for the channel. We are a Let's Play channel, but occasionally we will branch out into other things, and this is my first attempt at it. So, in this video, there's something about Pokemon games that I have noticed that happens often, which is Pokemon trainers, like gym leaders, Elite Four members, of a certain region will often not use Pokemon from their own region. It happens, you know, a lot in all the, well, not all the generations, but a lot of them. So I started thinking, what if they actually did use Pokemon from their own region? So let's hop into the first region, and honestly, the inspiration for this video. What if Johto trainers, gym leaders, and Elite Four members actually used Pokemon from the Johto region? Now, Johto is, well, one of my favorite regions all time, obviously. I grew up as a kid playing Pokemon. I played Red and Blue when they came out, and have been playing ever since. So, Gold and Silver were super exciting when they first came out. And then we got to the gym leaders, and they used all Kanto Pokemon. Throughout all 8 Johto gyms, there are a total of 23 Pokemon. 19 of those 23 are from the Kanto region. So, what would happen if all of these Johto gym leaders actually used Johto Pokemon? I know, it's a radical concept, but I've come up with teams that work for them. Now, the rules for these videos are that whenever I'm switching a Pokemon, I can only switch to a Pokemon of that gym leader's type. It can be a dual tape, obviously, it's going to happen a lot, but I can't, like, switch out an older Pokemon for a newer Pokemon that's a different type than their own. It has to be their own type. I can only change also to Pokemon of the current generation, with an exception being Elite Four members. I'll get to them when I get through the gym leaders. They also have to, any switches I have to keep the same relative difficulty. I can't just, I'm not trying to make the gym leaders tougher here, I'm not trying to make them easier, I'm just trying to give them Pokemon of their own region. Not everything has to change. I'm going for staying with the gym leader style of Pokemon choice too here. So if there is an older Pokemon that kind of fits, or if there's just not enough new Pokemon in that generation, then yeah, I'm going to keep them with their older ones. So let's see what happens. Starting with the first gym leader of the Johto region, Falkner. Falkner, the flying type expert who uses a Pidgey and a Pidgeotto. Not exactly the Johtoist of Pokemon. So I've come up with 2 Pokemon to replace them that I think work pretty well. The first one to replace his Pidgey is the one you saw coming, Hoothoot. Hoothoot obviously is a Johto Pokemon who has been connected to Falkner in various media, especially the anime, and makes the most sense. He should have the region's early bird Pokemon on his team. It also, since this is strictly for Gen 2, we're not talking about the remakes, at least in this video, Hoothoot has access to Mudslap, which is Falkner's TM. So it fits, it works on his team. Now for his ace Pokemon, however, you can't give him Noctowl. Noctowl is a little bit too much for this point in the game. He's also normally level 20. A Pidgeotto at level 9 has been done before. You can catch one in the Viridian Forest and Yellow version, but there's precedent for a low-level Pidgeotto. There's not that kind of precedent for an extremely low-level, half his normal level Noctowl. So finding an ace for Falkner is a little bit tricky, except he has a quote when you're about to battle him, which is, people think that you can clip a flying-type Pokemon's wings with a jolt of electricity, and I will not allow such insults to bird Pokemon. So there is a Johto Pokemon who is a part flying type who you cannot clip with a jolt of electricity. Gligar. Yep, I'm giving Falkner Gligar as his ace Pokemon. Now, Gligar is a little bit strong, but not much stronger than a Pidgeotto, and, crucially, doesn't have very good moves. So, even for starting trainers, it wouldn't be that difficult of an opponent. Now, Gligar, surprisingly, does not learn Mudslap via TM in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, but considering that there has been a lot of precedent for gym leaders having moves that other trainers can't, namely Jasmine and her Thunderbolting Magnemite before that was a thing, Falkner could easily still have Mudslap on his Gligar, make it a little bit tougher, and Gligar makes it a little bit easier for Chikorita players. So I actually think it really works. So Faulkner having a Hoot Hoot and a Gligar instead of his Pidgey-Pidgeotto is a combination I actually really like. Moving right along is Bugsy, the Bug-type expert. His normal team is, again all Kanto, a Metapod, a Kakuna, and, of course, his infamous Scyther. Now, the first two are super easy to replace. The new versions of Caterpie and Weedle were Ladybot and Spinarak, and that's definitely what I'd give them to replace Metapod and Kakuna. They're not very strong, but Metapod and Kakuna are a joke on Bugsy's team, and these would be too. Bugsy doesn't need a lot of power. There are actually a lot of new bug types in the Johto games, but Bugsy, his style is 2 weak Pokemon, setting you up for a really strong one at the back. And I'm keeping that format. Replacing Scyther is the only bug that can stand up to that task, Heracross. It's obvious, Bugsy used one in the manga, particularly it was kind of like his signature Pokemon. Pokemon Adventures manga, by the way, love it. But it's powerful, it's, you know, basically just as good as Scyther, if not better in certain circumstances, and, you know, it makes him, well, it gives him an answer to Geodude, for one thing, but it also keeps him just as easy as he was, and just as hard as he was. There's not much of a change, but it gives him an all-Johto team. The next trainer, the next gym leader, the one we all love, Whitney. Now, ordinarily, she, of course, has her infamous Miltank, and no, not changing that one. There can be no replacement for the Miltank, and it's the first Johto Pokemon we've seen. 3 gyms in, and only 1 Johto Pokemon originally. And her other Pokemon is Clefairy, a, at the time, normal type, now is a fairy type. But at the time it was a normal type, with a single evolution, although it did get a baby form in this gen. That was not exactly intimidating, but could be very annoying. It was an annoying Pokemon, not a damaging one. And it was cute. So what Pokemon from Johto could replace it that is cute, normal typed, able to evolve but unevolved at this point, and has an annoying moveset? Snubbull. Yep, he's the only one that fits. He is considered cute in the Johto region. Lots of Pokefans think that Snubbull is the cutest, and Whitney would definitely go with a Pokemon considered cute. You can't really give her anything else here. The fact that Snubbull also... I mean, you could give her Sentret, but that's a little too weak. But the fact that Snubbull evolves and becomes a fairy type in later generations is kind of exactly what we're going for here. He's basically Gen 2's Clefairy in a lot of ways, and yes, that's as funny as it sounds. Moving along, this is where it gets tricky. So, 3 gyms in, I've done entirely Johto Pokemon, but the Johto region didn't have a lot added in certain types. Some had a lot, Bug had a lot, Flying had a lot, even Normal had quite a few entrants that I could have gone with. But Ghost types had 1 new Pokemon. So changing Morty's team to be more Johto is not going to be possible. The only way to make him fully Johto would be to give him all 4 of the same Pokemon, which is not exactly a good mix. So for Johto and for other regions, I'm going to be aiming for at least 2/3 of the Pokemon in that region have to be, or of the Pokemon on those trainers, have to be from that region. So for Morty, we're going to give him 2 Misdreavus, replacing his 2 Haunter. He's going to keep his Ghastly and his Gengar. This is exactly keeping him at even strength. So Morty had, you know, Ghastly, Haunter, Gengar, Haunter. He always uses his Gengar 3rd. I've never battled him where he didn't. And in this way, replacing his 2 Haunter with Misdreavus, Misdreavus is about the same strength level as Haunter, maybe a little bit stronger, but not by much. And it keeps him about the same. He's got, you know, an easy Pokemon in Ghastly, 2 iffy ones in the Misdreavus, and then a very tough one in the Gengar. Keeps him the same, and it gives him a Johto last Pokemon used. Not ace, but last Pokemon used at least. Alright, 4 gyms in. We've had to go 2 Kanto Pokemon. And for the 5th gym, we're going to have to go with a 3rd. Chuck is the 5th gym leader. He is a fighting type specialist, and there are 3 new fighting type Pokemon added to Gen 5. However, One of them is Tyrogue, who's a baby form, and Chuck uses 2 fully evolved Pokemon, so can't replace either one of them with a baby Tyrogue. One of them is Heracross, who I just gave to Bugsy as his ace Pokemon. Cannot have one gym leader's ace Pokemon be on another gym leader's team. And, like I said, there's no other bug type that could truly replace Bugsy's Scyther other than Heracross. So I had to give him Heracross. So that means Chuck can only get 1 new fighting type Pokemon. And he's getting it, absolutely. Hitmontop is coming in to replace his Primeape. Chuck's Poliwrath is his ace Pokemon and is going to remain his ace Pokemon because Chuck is, well, really based around Poliwrath. His moveset, his TM, everything about Chuck is based around Poliwrath dominating, and Poliwrath wasn't on any major trainers' teams in Gen 1, so I don't feel bad about keeping him here. And Hitmontop, of course, is the fighting type of the Johto region. It's like the signature fighting type of the Johto region, because I think Heracross more is a bug type. But giving him to Chuck in place of Primeape definitely makes a lot of sense. Hitmontop wouldn't have the best moveset, just like Primeape doesn't, so it's a good fit. It keeps Chuck balanced while giving him at least 1 Johto Pokemon. Moving back across the sea for the 6th gym leader, who is for some reason stronger than the 7th gym leader, Jasmine! Now, Jasmine is an interesting one, because while she has 2 Kanto, 2 Magnemites, and 1 Johto Pokemon, I'm actually not going to change both of the Kanto ones. You could, there are technically enough Steel types, but most of the Steel types are a little bit too strong for this point in the game. 6th gym leader Jasmine, she's basically 2 easier Pokemon, and then the Steelix is supposed to be the hard one. Oftentimes that isn't the case, but, game design. Type matchups, things like that. But since Magnemite's type changed in between generations, I actually think that's enough reason to justify keeping one of the Magnemites. 1 Magnemite on her team makes more sense than 2, and to replace the other one, the only Steel-type Pokemon who I feel like is weak enough to replace Magnemite, but strong enough to replicate the fact that Magnemite can use Thunderbolt, is Forretress. Yep, Bug Steel-type. It fits Jasmine's personality because she is the steel-clad defense girl, and Forretress is all about defenses. It's the only other Steel-type that is truly like that. Skarmory could technically fit that bill, except Skarmory is primarily known as it's being a steel flying type, and it's been paired with Falkner enough times to be something of a signature Pokemon for him. It's not in the games, but, in the manga, it's his signature. And I feel like Skarmory would fit better for Falkner. Obviously, it's way too strong for him to use on his team, but I can't give it to Jasmine here. Forretress, however, has not been linked to any of these other gym leaders. You never see a Bugsy holding a Forretress, really. So having Forretress as a defensive Pokemon on the defensive Steel-type experts gym team really makes sense to me. So, Magnemite, Forretress, and then, of course, she's keeping her Steelix. It is the 2nd Johto Pokemon we've seen so far. Yep, 6 gyms in, we've now seen 2 original Johto Pokemon. Now, I've switched it, so we've seen, 4 Kanto. But it's still better. Anyway, moving right along to the 7th gym leader, Pryce, who is weaker than Jasmine. It's weird. Johto did its own thing. Anywho, Pryce originally had a Seel, a Dewgong, and of course his ace Pokemon, Piloswine. Now, Seel is honestly the most egregious of all of the Johto Pokemon because he's not an ice type. He doesn't get the ice typing until he evolves in a Dewgong, which makes him, not a good fit regionally and not a good fit type-wise. So, gotta change both of them. Because believe it or not, there are 2 very good, replacements for a Seel and a Dewgong who only have ice-type moves and aren't actually all that good because of that. So, Pryce is actually replacing his Seel with Smoochum. Yep, the little pre-baby form of Jynx. Smoochum is obviously an ice type from the Johto region, and believe it or not, Smoochum is much more of a threat than Seel. I know I said even, I had to keep the teams relatively where they were, but it'll even out. Smoochum is fast and a good special attacker, and with tools like Ice Punch and Confusion, would actually be more of a challenge than the little seal. It's basically a mini glass cannon. You gotta deal with it. Of course, it's not going to be tough because Pryce is always way under leveled, but it's before a Smoochum would evolve, and it gives him a Johto Ice type. And then replacing his Dewgong would be Delibird. Now, Delibird would obviously need help from TMs. It would have his Icy Wind TM. It would have Fly as an HM move, but gym leaders have used HM moves before, including in this generation. And, you know, it's kind of his signature Pokemon in the manga, and he's been tied to Delibird a few times. So why not give Pryce, honestly, all 3 Pokemon from the Ice Cave nearby? Yeah, both, well, Jynx, Delibird, and Swinub are all found in that Ice Cave, so I think giving Pryce a team built from that area actually makes a lot of sense. It gives him 3 Johto Pokemon, meaning he's another fully Johtoized gym leader, which is kind of the goal here. And then, last in the Johto region is Clair. Based on the rules that I've laid out, and the fact that there is only 1 new Dragon-type Pokemon introduced in the Johto games, Clair can't have any changes to her team. She's got the 3 Dragonair and the 1 Kingdra, and the Kingdra, of course, is famously a beast. The Dragonair are not actually all that tough in Clair's hands, but the Kingdra is a really, really good Pokemon. So I can't replace any of the Dragonair with more Kingdra, and since there are no other Dragon-type Pokemon that were introduced in this game, I can't swap out the Dragonairs. The only things I could give her are more Dragon-ish Pokemon that have more ties to the Johto region, which would be, in this case, Gyarados or Seadra, the pre-evolution of Kingdra. But since they're not actually Dragon types, I'm not switching out a Dragon type for a non-Dragon just to fit more into the Johto region. So, Clair gets the Kingdra. And that puts us through all 8 gyms at having 16 Johto Pokemon and 7 Kanto Pokemon, which, for a game that's a sequel to the originals, actually makes a lot of sense. It's 2/3, well, a little bit more, but as close as we can get to 2/3 of the Pokemon are from the Johto region. So it's a good, I think it's a really good mix, and it gives the Johto gym leaders a real Johto feel to them. And now, we move along to the Elite Four and the Champion, and this one is very, very interesting. See, this Elite Four and Champion are not just for the Johto region, they're for the combination of the Johto and Kanto regions. It's made specifically clear that that is the case for this Elite Four, which means, in my view, that these trainers should have an even mix between Johto and Kanto Pokemon. There are 2 trainers from Johto, 2 trainers from Kanto, and 1 trainer who has ties to both regions, that being the Champion Lance. In the original games, the Elite Four for the Johto and Kanto regions had a grand total of 17 Kanto Pokemon versus 9 Johto Pokemon. So let's see if we can't even out that score. So, starting with Will. Will is a trainer from the Johto region. He's brand new to this Elite Four, meaning he is one of the Johto representatives. And in the original games, he has his 2 Xatu as his only Johto Pokemon. Both his, well, all 3 of his, Slowbro, Jynx, and Exeggutor, are from the Kanto region. So that's what we can very easily change. And actually, we're changing out 4 of his Pokemon here. So, Will is going to be going with a pretty much brand new team. He's keeping his lead Xatu. Xatu doesn't really make sense as an ace Pokemon, but it makes a ton of sense, a tremendous amount of sense as a lead Pokemon. It's an annoying Pokemon that blasts away with Psychic and confuses you, and it's fast, and it's a good lead Pokemon for Will. The easiest switch, obviously, for Will would be swapping Slowbro for Slowking. It gives him a Johto Pokemon that's basically exactly what he had. Now, the others are, well, not hard. Switching out Exeggutor for Girafarig makes a lot of sense. It gives him a Johto Psychic type. There were a lot of Psychic types in Johto, actually. And swapping out the Exeggutor for a Girafarig that's actually from Johto makes a lot of sense for Will. It also kind of fits his theme, his style. Also fitting his style is Wobbuffet. Yep, switching out the Jinx for a Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet is a tremendously underused Pokemon in general during the main course of the games. I know he's kind of a joke in the anime, but he's actually really good in the games. And this would give Will a bit of a punch that otherwise he just spams Psychic. But it doesn't actually change his difficulty level because it's taking away a Psychic spammer and replacing it with a different kind of Pokemon. And finally, replacing his Ace Xatu would be Espeon. Espeon is a fantastic Psychic type introduced in Johto, and it's not on any major teams in the Johto region. Sabrina uses one, but I'm not really worried about the Kanto gyms here. They actually do pretty well. They're mostly Kanto Pokemon with a few Johto additions. Makes sense for a sequel game. But Will can go all Johto, and with this team, he's got an all Johto team. Moving right along is Koga, the second member of the Elite Four who's originally from Kanto. However, he makes sense to have added a couple of Johto Pokemon to his team. Now the difference here, and this is why I said that the Elite Four were under different rules, Koga got rid of his ace Pokemon between generations. He replaces his Weezing with a Forretress, which is not a Pokemon of his type, and I gave to Jasmine. So I am switching it back. Koga is going to keep his Weezing, and he's also going to use the same team he used originally. Ariados, Venomoth, Muk, and Crobat, an evolved Kanto Pokemon that is now his Johto Elite Four team's ace. It actually works really well. It gives him Venomoth and Weezing, who were his original aces, Muk, who's kind of, you know, a standard poison type on Koga's team, along with a new poison type Pokemon in Ariados, who fits his, you know, creepy crawly themes, and Crobat, of course, is his ace Pokemon originally, and is from Johto, and I have no complaints there. Moving right along, we have Bruno. Bruno is also from the Kanto regions, and he's very interesting. He is known as a fighting type master, but is always depicted with at least one rock type in pretty much every circumstance in which Bruno appears. So it's almost always Onix, but not always Onix. And that's the only change I'm making to Bruno's team. So Bruno is, of course, keeping his Hitmontop, Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee combination, and his ace Pokemon Machamp. He is originally from Kanto, so it makes sense that he would have more Kanto Pokemon than Johto. But his final Pokemon, Onix, never really made all that much sense. It's not strong enough. And there's a better Pokemon that is both a rock type from Johto and better fits the theme of a fighting type expert. That being Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo not only can learn fighting type moves as a rock type Pokemon, but also is, well, the evolution of Bonsly, which obviously didn't exist in this generation, but Sudowoodo is also kind of based on a bonsai tree. More of a grown-up version. It's pretending to be a tree in this case, but bonsai trees are often connected with martial arts masters. It's a very, it's a peaceful, intricate practice that you have to master. And I think it fits Bruno's personality really well that he would actually have a Sudowoodo, a rock-type Pokemon that has fighting-type moves. So that brings us through 3 Elite Four members, and now on to the 4th one, Karen, another Johto trainer, who has originally 3 Johto Pokemon to 1 Kanto Pokemon. However, I'm switching that to give her 4 Johto Pokemon, and giving her another Dark type. So Karen is, of course, keeping her Umbreon, Murkrow, and Houndoom. Those are her staple Dark type Pokemon, as well as new Pokemon to the Johto region, who are of the new Dark type. Totally makes sense. However, her other 2 Pokemon aren't Dark types, and I can't replace both of them with a Dark type because Karen has, well, Karen is not high level enough to have a Tyranitar. There are only 5 new Dark-type Pokemon, at least fully evolved ones, in the Johto region, and Tyranitar's just too strong. You can't get one until level 55. So it's a little too strong for Karen's team. I didn't want to change her ace Pokemon anyway. So instead, I'm only giving her Sneasel. Sneasel is a Dark-type Pokemon from Gen 2, and it's a little bit strong. It could have been on Price's team, but it's a little too much there and doesn't fit Price's style at all. But it totally fits Karen's style. So it's going on the team replacing Vileplume. Now, Karen is keeping her Gengar, which is a non-Dark type Pokemon, but crucially covers the two Dark types' weaknesses, Bug and Fighting. So it's a really good match. It actually coincidentally covers Fairy types as well, which wouldn't appear for 4 more generations, but it still works. And it also keeps Karen's other theme being strong Pokemon, weak Pokemon, not making a difference. So Karen traditionally keeps 3 strong Pokemon, her Umbreon, her Gengar, and her Houndoom, and then 2 weaker ones. Vileplume is not a very strong Pokemon, and Murkrow is obviously not either. So Sneasel is also not a very strong Pokemon. None of them are weak, but they're not very strong. But selfish perception of people is that that matters. So for Karen, that doesn't matter. So at this point, we are through the Elite Four, and I said I wanted an even split. Right now, I have 13 Johto Pokemon and 7 Kanto Pokemon. And that works out because Lance's team is not changing at all. Like I said, the only change that can be made is, well, to Pokemon of their own type. That rule is different for the Elite Four, but Lance wouldn't have a Kingdra because Lance and Claire are too different from one another. They're from the same family, and you kind of get the sense that Lance was given a Dratini, having earned one, and that Claire never did, so she had to earn a dragon along the way. At least that's my theory. But the point is that Lance wouldn't have picked up a Pokemon that's not of his own kind of style. He prefers the bigger, more explosive dragons. And actually, Lance picking up a Charizard in between generations makes a lot of sense. It's either a Pokemon of one of the ace Pokemon of one of the 2 trainers who beat him, Red and Blue, or it's the 3rd Pokemon that went unpicked from Red and Blue. In that circumstance, it would be the Pokemon that would beat Blue's starter, Venusaur, which obviously was the first trainer to ever defeat Lance. Makes a lot of sense. He's either taking a dragon-like Pokemon from one of the 2 trainers who have ever defeated him, or he's taking one that would beat one of those 2 trainers, the first one who beat him. So I actually loved the addition of Charizard to his team, and of course, 3 Dragonites, can't mess with that, and Gyarados and Aerodactyl are 2 classic on his team. So keeping his team all Kanto actually works out just fine. It keeps an even split between Johto and Kanto Pokemon in the Elite Four that represents both regions, and I actually really like that. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed my picks for Johtoizing the Johto region. And, you know, if you want to see more videos like this, I can certainly go through almost every region and do the same thing. So, leave a comment, like it, share it, I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe I'll see you some other time for more Pokemon stuff.